To make the case for secrecy in government when it comes to the conduct of national security affairs, and possibly for deception where that's appropriate. You know, Winston Churchill said during World War II that in wartime, truth is so important it should be surrounded by a bodyguard of lies.
Do you really believe that?
Absolutely.
You would lie in order to preserve the truth?
If I had to say something I knew was false to protect American national security, I would do it. I don't think we're often faced with that difficulty. But would I lie about where the D-Day invasion was going to take place to deceive the Germans? You better believe it.
Why do people in the government think that the rules of society or the laws don't apply to them?
Because they are not dealing in the civil society we live in under the Constitution. They are dealing in an anarchic environment internationally where different rules apply.
But you took an oath to uphold the Constitution, and the Constitution mandates certain openness and certain fairness. You're willing to do away with that in order to achieve a temporary military goal?
And I think, as Justice Jackson said in a famous decision, the Constitution's not a suicide pact.
But you took an oath to it.
That's exactly right. And I think defending the United States from foreign threats does require actions that in a normal business environment in the United States we would find unprofessional.
You know,
I don't make any apology.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest new Q post, and we have to ask the question, how is Q continuing to predict the future via these posts online? We're going to look at how future is proving past as Q told us it would. Plus, we're going to take a deep dive into the impeachment hoax and what is happening with that sham trial in the Senate, plus a whole bunch of other breaking news stories that you guys are going to want to stick around to check out right here. Hi, my name is Craig. Welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. We're going to get right into it. Before we do, thank you if you've hit that subscribe button. If you haven't done that, please come here. Click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified as soon as these videos get posted. We have a lot to cover here, and we're going to get right into it. We left off at Q Post 3794. We're picking up at Q Post 3795, and we're just going to jump right into it. So first, we have Q Post 3795. Q says, confirmed, Q. And now, what is he talking about? Well, it seems that Q called the shot back in January of 2018, January 31st to be exact, right? Q told us in 2018, Freedom Day, freedom, right? And Anon put together basically that this is the exact same day that the Department for Exiting the EU, the official one set up by Boris Johnson to push forward the Brexit, which was voted for in referendum by the British people, and they passed it in a majority, that now the official date for departure is January 31st, 2020. So this seems to look pretty legit to me. Q basically points us back to, you know, the previous post where he says, congratulations, UK, patriots, independence is a beautiful thing, globalism dead. And it looks at the date being 1/23/20, so it's all before this, right? Q's basically calling the shot. And, you know, look, to me, it is what it is. I think it's something that's interesting. Q's pointing it out. And that means there's military precision behind all of this, right? Everything that we've seen has been a part of a very precise plan that's been in place for a long time, I believe, right? Or at least been in the work for a long time. And that's just another confirmation from Q there about exactly what we're seeing. Now, the next one here is a tweet from this Boomer 4K, and this is pretty interesting, right? So this is Representative Ratcliffe talking to Maria Bartiromo about why Schiff is hiding the 18th transcript. What is the 18th transcript? It's the Intelligence Community Inspector General's testimony that was given in the basement and taken by the Democrats, but it's the one that they withhold, right? They talk about the 17 interviews and witnesses that were interviewed, and now all of a sudden they don't want to talk about the 18th one, which is the Intelligence Community Inspector General, who told us some interesting things. And I'm going to let Representative Ratcliffe kind of fill you in on this. So watch this.
There were 18 witnesses that the House prosecutors had for this, but you have not seen all 18 transcripts. Is that right?
That's exactly right, Maria. The House managers kept putting up charts talking about the 17 witnesses, but there were 18. The 18th was the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community, Michael Atkinson. He was the second witness interviewed on October 4th. I was there. It's the one transcript out of 18 that hasn't been released. It's a 179-page transcript, and you can bet that if that transcript was helpful to Adam Schiff and the Democrats and harmful to President Trump, everyone would have seen it by now. But instead, it's just the opposite. It's the one transcript that talks about Adam Schiff and the whistleblower. Now, everyone knows by now that Adam Schiff was not truthful about his contacts with the whistleblower. What they don't know, and what's in that transcript, is that the whistleblower wasn't truthful about his contacts with Adam Schiff. This whole thing started, Maria, when a whistleblower filed a complaint with the Inspector General under penalty of perjury that wasn't true and correct, made representations in writing and then verbally that weren't true and correct. And when we found that out and tried to get into the details of that, Adam Schiff, who was in charge of this investigation, shut it down, and now he's trying to bury that transcript.
So there you just saw Representative Ratcliffe lay out the fact that they don't want to highlight the 18th testimony that they took from the Intelligence Community Inspector General because it may have damaging information about, guess who? Eric CIA, the guy who is treated like this, you know, who knows what, this linchpin to everything it must be, because even if I say his name here on YouTube, the algorithms, the bots that basically scour these videos before they get posted and decide what can and can't be posted will literally pull this video off of, you know, live public viewing and throw it in the memory hole. I've had it happen to 2 videos just for saying this guy's name that's openly been reported about across the media, right? So you can't even say this person's name. Eric CIA is who I call him, and that's his name basically. But man, that's where we're at right now. And that's what basically Ratcliffe is telling Maria. He's saying, look, we have the testimony that shows that he was talking to Adam Schiff, he was working with Adam Schiff, and then we have other articles that are talking about him inviting delegates from the Ukraine into the Obama White House right before the transition, literally like the day before almost, where they were doing, I mean, maybe not the day before exactly, but it was right before the transition happened. They were doing damage control to figure out how they could cover up the connection between Joe Biden and his son in Ukraine and Burisma, which connects back to Christopher Hines, who, don't forget, is John Kerry's stepson, right? Who were in Rosemont Seneca Partners together with, you guessed it, a man named Devin Archer. And if you look up these 3 characters and you understand how they're connected, then you understand how it's not just about, you know, one person or another. It's about the way that this nepotism and this getting your family into positions of power and selling us out like we're in some Chinese communist government where it's not about merit or anything about ethics or standards. It's about, you know, who you know and who your brother or your uncle or your cousin is, right? That's what this is like really pointing us toward, I think, seeing all together. But we have a few more posts we're going to get into. So the next one here, it shows the zero delta between Q posting this boomer 4K post on Twitter and, of course, President Trump tweeting that the witch hunt continues, and they finally did it. They got an exact 0 delta. And I don't know if it's exact to the second, but it's definitely exact to the minute. So you have Q posting in the exact same minute as President Trump's tweeting. But, you know, Q says, having fun yet? Are you having fun yet? I have to ask, you know. So I know I am, because we're winning, even though this is a very tough battle against some very evil people. We are winning, and that is something to be looked at favorably. But anyway, the anon here says, I'll have fun when things start happening in our favor. Q responds this way. Play a game of where are they now? Think CEOs, think FBI, think DOJ, think White House, think state, think CIA, think foreign intelligence, think judge install, think Supreme Court install, think DOJ install, think FBI install, think CIA install, think Prime Minister of UK install, think the best is yet to come. Q. I mean, if you look across the board how everything has played out to where we are today, it seems as though we are winning. And we're winning by a long shot. It's not even close. The Democrats are in complete disarray. President Trump's stronger now than ever. Highest approval ratings, best stock market, lowest unemployment. The list goes on and on and on. Yes, we have a lot of work to do. Yes, President Trump's not perfect, and there are some things that we can tighten up and get better. That's a part of being a leader, is you recognize that there are things where you have, strengths and you have weaknesses, but you have to try to get better every day, right? And that's what President Trump's doing, and this is exactly what's happening. The arrests, the resignations, the removals, the firings, people being pushed out of the FBI, DOJ, White House, being sniffed out, all of the leakers and the liars and the corrupt criminals who have been propping up this coup attempt against President Trump. They've been exposed and they've been removed. And yes, there are still a lot of left behinds. And yes, it's a continuing battle. But I mean, you have to give the guy credit for where credit's due. He's done a lot. There have been so many examples across the board. It'd be an entire separate episode to go through each example. But I can tell you right now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, we always highlight when things happen that basically pertain to exactly what Q is saying right here. There is an active effort that is ongoing, and it's an effective strategy of President Trump to, basically make America great again by getting rid of the deep state, draining the swamp, as he says. And that's what's happening right now. And the best is yet to come. So you guys have a lot to look forward to. I'm sure we'll get a lot more going into the future on that. And the next post right here, Q says, "You didn't think we highlighted Epstein for no reason, did you? Those who were once protected are no longer. Timing is everything. Hunters become prey. Q." Well, what's interesting too now is that they're coming forward and saying they don't have enough votes to block witnesses in the Senate. And I'm thinking to myself, wasn't that the plan all along? Hasn't President Trump been taunting everyone, saying like, I would love to have a trial. I'd love to go sit there in the front row of this, right? Because he knows he's innocent. And it's the same thing, I think, that's going on with like Flynn and other people, because we know that they're innocent and they know they're innocent. And what they're saying is, look, we can go into trial, we can go into discovery, we can have witnesses, we can do whatever we want, but you better be careful what you wish for, because when the facts start coming out, as we've seen them to be up till now, they're going to show that what we're doing is completely justified, and what's happening to us, as in President Trump, the administration, certain individuals associated with it, is wrong. And it is antithetical to our justice system and what we're trying to accomplish in our mandate as the electorate for our president, President Trump, to go out and actively work to bring these people to account, hold them accountable for their crimes, not have a two-tier justice system. That's really, I think, ultimately what this all comes down to. And that's what Q is highlighting here in saying that Epstein was not, highlighted for no reason at all. Epstein was integral to understanding this. Now, I think the initial take is usually the right take on a lot of these things. And in this, instance, I think it may have very well been some sort of Mossad foreign intelligence sting operation that was co-opted by others, or a model that was modeled after, a practice as ancient as time itself, right? But also in the more modern sense, something that we talked about with Hugh Hefner and the Playboy Mansion, and what was it used for? Why were politicians and celebrities and all these people going to the Playboy Mansion and then coming out, possibly being controlled assets by the clowns in action because they got dirt on them while they were doing things they shouldn't have been doing? And the same thing has happened here with Epstein and Epstein Island. Who knows who was backing it, who was funding it, but it seems like the infiltration was pushed toward places like higher education institutions like Harvard and Yale and whatnot. And it seems as though that Epstein was targeting very specific people for very specific reasons. Now, all that aside, it talks directly to what we know about Clinton and the Clinton Foundation and Haiti and everything else. So there's something to be had there. Plus, you have that 7.7 earthquake today that was just south of Jamaica. And let me tell you what, there may be a lot of stuff happening in those shallow Caribbean waters that we don't know about. And I'm just going to leave it at that, especially when it comes to, wars that may not even be seen, by the eye. So keep that in mind, okay? Now, the next one here is very interesting because it talks about John Durham, right? It gives us this Wikipedia article to look up what a Durham boat is. Well, what's a Durham boat? It's a large wooden flat-bottom double-edged freight boat, which was in use on many of the interior waterways of North America beginning in the middle of the 18th century. Now, this is the kind of boat you'd see in one of those old movies, you know, that they're kind of pushing across the river. It's like a little ferry to get, you know, horses, people across from one side to the other. And this was very much used on the Delaware River, which is exactly what this picture is that Q is showing us, right? The picture of, the famous, I should say, picture of George Washington crossing the Delaware River in his push to attack the Hessians, right? The German mercenaries. How does that apply to today? I'll leave that to your imagination. But him attacking the British bought and paid for German mercenaries who were trying to help the British overthrow the American Revolution, which we ended up winning, thank the Lord above, and establishing the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and freedom for mankind, globally. No big deal, though, right? And it says, Anons found the subtle hint dropped in the beginning. Think Durham start, think Q start. You have more than you know, Q. So this was a picture that was given to us by Q at the beginning of all this, and Durham is the boat, Durham is the investigator, and guess what? There are more than one Durhams, right? There are two John Durhams, according to something I've been looking at, some different research threads here that seem to point out the fact that Q mentioned Durham twice, and it may be possible that there's more than one Durham, as in there's a John Henry Durham and a John Joseph Durham. And apparently John Henry Durham, who is the U.S. Attorney for Connecticut, the one that we know with the mustache and everything, that guy, he has a son who's working in the Eastern District at its Brooklyn office. So it's very possible that Q starting on the 17th, right? Or excuse me, not the 17th, but starting on October 28th, 2017, that being the same date that the U.S. Attorney was appointed by Jeff Sessions, thereby being the start date for Q, but also the investigations into all of these criminals, right? And then what Q was a way to get the information around the fake news media so that the people could have a good idea of what was going on. Because how can you trust the fake news? And that we have multiple Durhams on this, and that was just another clue hint by Q. So there you go. We have a lot more than we know, and it seems to only become more apparent every day. The next one's this Twitter status by Enoch, the Enoch. This says, who is helping POTUS? Last line of Q post attached. It was right in front of us the whole time, Anons. In one of Q's first drops, Q included the Delaware crossing. Those boats sure did help POTUS. Then it says Durham appointed the same day as Q's first post, something we just talked about. Again, going all the way back to October of 2017, a few days after Q started on the 28th, you have this picture being dropped to us, telling us basically that Durham is the one who is helping President Trump fight this battle. And we are basically crossing the Delaware River to fight the Hessian German mercenaries who are trying to fund the overthrow of our government. Isn't that interesting how it all seems to connect right back together? Just thought I'd throw that out there. It says, do you believe in coincidences? Where is the rally held tonight? Enjoy the show, Q. So the rally tonight was in Wildwood, New Jersey, but that's right up the street from the exact point where former President George Washington crossed the Delaware to fight the Hessians on a Durham boat. And it was all of his men, too. It wasn't just him. It was the men and women who fought to free this nation, to free ourselves from taxation without representation and tyranny. And that is really where we are at now, and we're fighting against it again. It never is going to go away. It's always going to be right there, very present and apparent for us to combat and battle. But the next one here is even more interesting. It talks about this John Rob Webb tweet where it says, pointing out the fact that this is kind of getting in the weeds, but then Q confirms it here, right? It says, was the election supposed to be rigged? And then it has the fact that there's a missing D. So it should be supposed to be rigged, right? And the D is missing. And it says, who is helping POTUS? The D that is missing is Durham, right? And then, misspellings matter. Q told us that a long time ago, and that's something we have to continually remind ourselves about. And Q's confirming it here, saying that that was a hint dropped all the way back in 2017 that Durham is the one who is in charge of this investigation. And then, of course, the next one here is an Anon who puts a screenshot together, which actually has this: misspellings are important in Q posts unless later corrected, and POTUS tweets. They assist in decodes. The above Q post was referencing Durham boat as hint, missing D as confirmation. So there you go. Simple enough, right? I thought that was interesting. Then, of course, the next one here is this video, the video that will get Donald Trump elected. And this is an iconic video. We've talked about it here on the boards before a million times. And every time I watch this video again and again, it just gets better and better. So I'll leave a link to it. I'm not going to show it because the music and everything, it's just the copyright, well, whatever. Anyway, the point being, you guys should watch this video. I'll leave a link to it down in the description. It's definitely worth a watch, and that is definitely my recommendation to you. Also, finally, here the last post, of course, is this clip of President Trump, and I'm going to play it right now, but this talks about President Trump talking about exactly what QAnon is talking about the Delaware River and Washington. So watch this.
New Jersey is the state where George Washington led a die-hard band of American patriots to victory at Trenton and Princeton and Monmouth in our glorious battle to win American independence. George Washington. This is the state where generations of tough and strong New Jersey craftsmen and dockers.
So there you saw President Trump referencing directly exactly what we're talking about here on the Q board. Is it a coincidence? I'll leave that for you to decide for yourself. But with that in mind, Q says the best is yet to come. And that's what I'm hearing too. We're going to have more and more that just continues to happen, which is going to expose these criminals who have tried to overthrow President Trump. And before we leave, I want to let you guys watch this set of clips from today's impeachment proceedings on the Senate, or in the Senate, where you have Jay Sekulow, President Trump's lawyer, lay it out perfectly about how they hoaxed the American people, how they scammed us, how they tried to unseat a duly elected president, and how they're going to continue to do it, or how they are continuing to do it, I should say, right now. So you guys watch this cut together, and I hope that this lays it out, because I know a lot of you probably couldn't watch the whole thing today, but watch this.
To lower the bar of impeachment based on these articles of impeachment would impact the functioning of our constitutional republic and the framework of that Constitution for generations. And I think it's important as we conclude today that we're reminded of that fact. The President of the United States, before he was the president, was under an investigation. It was called Crossfire Hurricane. It was an investigation led by the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. James Comey eventually told the president a little bit about the investigation and referenced the Steele dossier. James Comey, the then director of the FBI, said it was salacious and unverified. So salacious and unverified that they used it as a basis to obtain FISA warrants. Members, managers here, managers at this table right here, said that any discussions on the abuse from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act utilized to get the FISA warrants from the court were conspiracy theories. I told you at the very beginning, I asked, do you put yourselves in the shoes of not just this president, of any president that would have been under this type of attack? And then the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, James Comey, decides he will leak a memo of a conversation he had with the President of the United States. And he is leaking the memo for a purpose, he said, to obtain the appointment of a special counsel. And lo and behold, a special counsel was appointed. And it just so happens that that FBI agent, lawyer, who committed the fraud on the FISA court became a lawyer for the Mueller investigation, only to be removed because of political animus and bias found by the Inspector General. Then we have a special counsel investigation. Lisa Page, Agent Strzok, I'm not going to go into the details. You know them. They're not in controversy, they're uncontroverted. The facts are clear. But does it bother your sense of justice even a little bit? Even a little bit, that Bob Mueller allowed the evidence on the phones of those agents to be wiped clean while there was an investigation going on by the Inspector General? Now, if you did it, Manager Schiff, if you did it, Manager Jeffries, if I did that, destroyed evidence, if anyone in this chamber did this, we'd be in serious trouble. Their serious trouble is they get fired. Putting yourselves in the shoes of this president or any president that would be under this situation, your number 4 at the Department of Justice, his wife is working for the firm that's doing the opposition research on him and is communicating with the foreign former spy, Christopher Steele, to put together the dossier, and it's being handled by Christopher Steele through Nellie Orr to her husband, then the 4th-ranking member at the Department of Justice, Bruce Orr, and all of this is going on. And he doesn't want to tell, and he's testified to this, he doesn't want to tell everybody what he's doing because he's afraid he might have to stop. Might have to stop. How did this happen? This is the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And then we ask, why is the president concerned about advice he's being given? Put yourself in his shoes. Put yourself in his shoes. But remember the whole idea that this was a dire national security threat, a danger to our nation? We had to get this over here right away. It had to be done before Christmas. It was so important. It was so significant. The country was in such jeopardy. The jeopardy was so serious that it had to be done immediately. Let's hold on to the articles of impeachment for a month to see if the House could force the Senate to adopt rules that they wanted, which is not the way the Constitution is set up. But it was such a dire emergency. It was so critical for our nation's national interest that we could hold them for 33 days. Danger, danger, danger.
So there you have it. That was Jay Sekulow laying it all out for you to see plain and clear what was happening with the Trump administration and how he was framed, how Crossfire Hurricane played a role, how everything was put together very succinctly in order to set up President Trump from day one and even before. So that's pretty much where we're going to wrap it up. A few more things before we go. Obviously, come here, watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. That helps out the channel. If you don't know what QAnon is, watch this video right here. It'll give you all that information. What is QAnon, the Great Awakening? Also, hit that subscribe button and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to think about everything that we talked about here on the channel today. Also, I'm on Twitter at JustInformedYou, and you can find me over on justinformednews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk, and of course, bitshoot.com/justinformedtalk. Also, be brave. Download the Brave browser. It's a great product. It's free. There's a link in the description. When you use the link in the description to download the browser, install it and run it on your computer, they'll make a contribution to this channel. And what is it? It's an internet browser. It's just like Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, whatever. Mozilla Firefox, whatever you're using, but it's better. It blocks the ads and it makes your internet experience that much better. I highly recommend it. And if you use the link in the description, it's free for you and it helps me out. So it's a win-win. And I really appreciate that you guys check that out. Also, if you want to make a one-time or anonymous, if you want to make a monthly donation, you can come over here to Patreon, patreon.com. You guys have kept this channel alive all the way through all of the demonetization and what Google's done, YouTube's done to try to put this channel out of business. You guys have kept it going, and I'm sorry that the videos aren't coming up as quick right now, but I'm obviously officially now in California. I've got my studio halfway set up, and I'm still working on a few things. So there's a lot of work that needs to get done. So all your support really helps me and my family and helps me keep going. It helps me do this work every single day. So Patreon is a monthly donation, and we have GoFundMe. It's a one-time or anonymous donation. So you can use either of those. Links to both will be in the description. You guys are what keep this channel alive, and I appreciate your help so much. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, I want to share a verse that's out of Ephesians chapter 5, verses 6 through 14, and it talks about light versus darkness, and I want to share this with you. It says, "Let no one deceive you with empty arguments, for because of these things God's wrath is coming on the disobedient. Therefore, do not become their partners. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the light results in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, discerning what is pleasing to the Lord. Don't participate in the fruitless works of darkness, but instead expose them. For it is shameful even to mention what is done by them in secret. Everything exposed by the light is made clear, for what makes everything clear is light. Therefore it is said, 'Get up, sleeper, and rise up from the dead, and the Messiah will shine on you.'" That's my message to you. We have to expose them. We have to not stop doing this every single day. We have to keep pushing, because we are trying to walk in the light. We're trying to be children of God. We're trying to live in a society where we can be safe and happy and comfortable, but also be free to worship God and to promote the values of living a righteous life to our friends and family and everyone in the world. And that's all we want, right? We want justice, and we want to be able to say that God is above all else, and that's all, right? And that Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and that we are saved as long as we accept him into our heart, and that the Holy Spirit lives in us and can strengthen us, and that's it. So we have to expose this evil, and we have to do it every day, and we have to do it in a way that is Christ-like, and we have to put our lives to God and live righteously and be above all of this. And it's tough, but nothing worth having in this world is easy. So that's my message to you. Take that, give it to your friends and family and loved ones, and spread this out, because that's what it means to have the light of God in your heart. And once you get that, let it shine bright out into the world. So that's my message to you. I want to say thank you for watching. Again, come here, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and hit it, pop it, tap it, whatever, punch it. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.